Hey, what's up everyone? Alex here, back with another opening video. This is going to be the 100th opening, 100th opening that I'd like to share with you, which is the Seeley counter Heath opening. So I named it after Mr. Ben Seeley because I first seen him do this way of countering the Heath opening. So this is only specifically for white diagonal players, but I've also seen it played by some Japanese players as well. So unfortunately, I'm not too familiar who are the real names of the Japanese players. If not, I might consider naming it after them as well. But yeah, let's run through the sequence. So basically, it's about countering Heath. So let's say if you were black and you're playing Heath, opening, I think something that is interesting over here. So over here we have the diagonal to the typical cross opening. And then finally, down to the Heath, which is nearer to the edge, is kind of like a rotated cow opening. So over here, instead of the typical response over here, which makes like a rotated sailboat or a rotated chimney, over here, Mr. Ben Seeley actually does this and cuts a diagonal across. So usually this is not very intuitive in a sense that because you wouldn't want to cut and allow your opponent to cut back immediately. But on a longer term basis, it seems like there's a deeper meaning to this opening. So after white black, white cuts out into the center, kind of a mini checkerboard over here, or a line control between this diagonal, this square and this square, this mini diagonal. So there isn't a nice way for black to kind of regroup over here. So over here, the book's best move is actually here, even though the kind of head and tail theory might tell you that, hey, maybe you should play this, but this gives up an easy response to white over here. So over here, this is actually the best book opening move. So this is kind of like a typical book. So over here, I think the recommended best move is over here at e8. However, Mr. Ben Seeley actually plays c8 over here, which makes up a very interesting kind of opening setup. So just visually over here, just taking it over here, there are a lot of options that you can play. You can play this and probably give up a strong edge. So probably that's not something that you want to achieve. At the same time, this kind of move is usually susceptible to multiple a square, b square swindles. So this is something that you probably wouldn't want to play. There's also an option over here to play to the center, but white gets one more tempo. So this kind of split in tempo makes it very interesting because it gives up a lot of options for black to play. But at the same time, black is prone to a lot of mistakes, and white on the opposite side, after forming this shape, actually becomes like a very, very playable shape in terms of how you can execute your game. So I think against the Heath opening, this white diagonal Seeley counter Heath is actually extremely useful to kind of make it an awkward shape for your opponent. So something to consider about, and you can probably realize that the diagonal opening in general helps you achieve a checkerboard and also achieves maybe an early edge play, and this is kind of consistent with the type of openings that I've seen Mr. Ben Seeley play. So you can see it's very tricky over here, even though there are a couple of playable moves. But if you look at the software, you might realize that these are actually quite tricky to kind of follow up. So assuming if black plays here, white gets multiple tempo, white, and then black can't play here, potentially white will be able to play here in the future. So if black plays here, white plays this and has one more tempo here. So if black plays over here, perhaps you can stall for a while, but at the same time, white does have a nice multiple line control over here, perhaps in terms of tempo, or even a regroup move is also possible by white. So I think this move is very special because it gives up a lot of options for white and for black, but at the same time, white has an easy counter for all of them. If black plays here, white plays here to regroup. If black plays here, white also can play here. So it's kind of a dilemma whether to kind of respond to this move over here to see it, and at the same time, if you don't respond to it, he can still gain multiple tempo. So this is a kind of special maneuver that you probably want to look out for in openings and mid game, something that you can split up, give your opponent multiple choices, but at the same time you have immediate and nice response to that. So with that, I'll probably close this and leave it to you to explore this opening, and I hope this helped your game in the future. So if you're a white diagonal player and you like to play maybe an edge play, and your opponent is a Heath opening player, maybe you can use this against them. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you at the next one. Goodbye.